Kelly. Thank you for talking with me today. I have some questions about the new CTE program, and I'm told you are the very best person to ask. My name is Kelly Withy. I'm a family physician, and I run the Pre-Health Career Corps program, which helps students go into health professions. And so we always want a partnership with DOE and help students get as best prepared for their future careers as possible. So I wanted to know more about the new CTE program. So you were recommended highly. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. So I am Troy Sueoka. I am one of the CTE or Career and Technical Educational Specialists in the Office of Curriculum and Instructional Design for the Hawaii Department of Education. And I'm in charge of pathways and programs for CTE as also any kind of state and federal funding. It's kind of all encompassing. So we are in charge of K-12, but majority of our focus does fall on the high school side, but we do support K-12.
Excellent. Okay, well, tell me, so we're changing our CTE program. What is the vision for health career pathways going forward?
Well, the vision for health career pathways is really, and it's not only for health career pathways, but for all of our career pathways, is to really build a sustainable future by offering these pathways, CTE pathways, to prepare students for high-skilled, high-wage, and in-demand occupations that really allow students to earn a living wage here in Hawaii and hopefully can remain here in Hawaii and be successful after they graduate from high school, whether they enter into post-secondary or directly into the workforce.
Well, that is what we want, because we know we have a shortage of thousands of healthcare professionals and healthcare workers of all kinds. So we had a pathway before, and now we have a new pathway or new pathways.
Well, the pathway is kind of the organizing tool of a bunch of programs of study. So within the health services pathway, we have various programs of studies that the schools can offer. We have nursing services, public health and human performance therapeutic services. And we also have diagnostic services and emergency medical services. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs of study. Yeah. And they all are articulated and to the community colleges and the UH system, where it's not just something that's dead end, but it's something that the students can then pursue and go through a particular institution here in Hawaii and matriculate on and follow their career aspirations.
So they're articulated. Does that mean they get any college credit for their?
So there are programs out there, things like early college or dual credit opportunities that students can do to get college credit while they're still in high school. So we do encourage our students to take advantage of those opportunities if they're available at their school, and hopefully pursue and when they do and they do graduate, have at least some credits under their belt and be maybe a step ahead of everybody else. So.
Excellent. Okay, and then so it sounds like the old pathways just broken up into the 5 areas.
Yeah, the 5 kind of high maybe need areas that we have identified from looking at things like labor market data, job opportunities, talking to post-secondary, talking to various healthcare industry professionals to see where the high need areas is and where our students can be successful in and be able to work and enter into a career pathway that will lead to a job that's going to give them that living wage and everything, and there's always various on-ramps and off-ramps students can take. It's not necessarily that they have to graduate and then go into a 4-year institution. They can go to community college, they can go directly into the workforce and then go back to school and scaffold up, and hopefully reach their goal, their career aspirations.
So are there other ways it's different from the previous CTE program, or is it just broken down more?
Yeah, so it differs in a lot of ways. We totally redesigned our programs of study. In the past, it was mainly just 2 courses that a student took. Now we have expanded that to a 4-course sequence at least. Some have even offers, multiple offerings, where it'd be a work-based learning type of experience, and or things like early college, post-secondary credit attainment, or a higher technical skill type of course that is offered. So within the kind of redoing of our courses, we revised the course standards. We are getting, we included benchmark activities, things like, and resources. We are partnering with our industry partners and post-secondary partners to get feedback on those standards, to make sure that what we're teaching in the classroom is really what the students need to know when they're going into a post-secondary institution or directly into the workforce. So we want to make sure that the standards are relevant and are useful to our students. They also include standards that are academic, of course, and technical standards, and that also include employability skills. We hear from industry that the employability skills sometimes is is what is lacking. Sometimes when they have students that are very smart, very technical, but they maybe can't show up to work on time, or can't collaborate or can't work as a team. So we're trying to incorporate those types of skills also in the standards, so students can be more well-rounded and more ready for what's ahead.
So are these Hawaii specific, or are there any other states that are doing the same thing?
I'm not sure, but our focus is on Hawaii. Our business partners and things that we are working with is Hawaii specific. I'm sure the technical skills and some of the academic skills that they're learning, would vary, like things like anatomy and physiology and things like that is very, going to be kind of standard across the board that the students are going to need to know. And I'm sure all the students going into the healthcare field are going to be learning things like that. But how can we, incorporate things like the Hawaiian healing and those types of cultural based practices that we have in Hawaii, and utilize those things also, and not just focus just on traditional medicine. Yeah.
Right. And I really like the idea of working with the industry partners. Are there going to be apprenticeships and such that can be entered into by students?
Yes. So along with our courses that the students are taking, at the end of every program of study, there's a work-based learning option. And that's a course specifically designed to give students the opportunity to showcase and to get hands-on experience of what they've learned in the first 3 courses, whether it be an internship at a company, or some kind of simulated work environment within the school. So we really are encouraging students to do those types of activities, and we are offering courses at every program of study at the end. And so students can get credit and do those types of activities that will really kind of get them, if anything, hands-on experience and develop relationships, with the employer, because as you know, Hawaii is very small, and it's sometimes who you know that might, get you a job in the future, right?
Yeah, and it's nice for the employers to try out the student as well as the student try out the employer. So that's a really good thing.
Yeah, correct.
So are the benchmarks set so that they have to pass that in their classes?
Yes. So the benchmark activities and things that are inside the standards, are really tied to the occupation specific demands and what is needed for that particular occupation that the program of study is built around. And it can be that any teacher or a new teacher that maybe hasn't taught that particular program of study before can utilize those suggested benchmark activities to start. And then we try to have professional development where we encourage the networking of teachers so they can share what they've been doing in the classroom, and hopefully, share resources, share ideas and things like that on how to teach the standards to their students. And a lot of times, just giving teachers that opportunity to network really gives them a chance to build on what they've already been teaching, or if they're new, give them ideas on how to teach the standards.
Excellent. Do you have a web page or someplace, a forum or anything for teachers in different pathways? Or is that on the plans?
Not yet. But I mean, teachers, they, when they come to the professional development opportunities, they are put into groups that are for each program of study. So maybe all the nursing services, teachers might be all together so they can network and things like that. And hopefully, they'll get to know each other and they can easily find each other on our DOE email server. So we're hoping that, they're just emailing each other.
All right. And what resources are available to the teachers in the schools that choose certain pathways?
Yeah, so, other than the professional development that we're offering and the resources that come with the professional development, there's also funding that comes with career and technical education. So we have the federal Perkins Act that provides funding for all CTE courses or pathways or programs of study. And it's really for innovation within CTE, and it's funding that schools use to start new programs. Or so let's say, now that we're creating these new pathways and programs of study, so they can use these fundings to improve their programs that they've had maybe existing in the past, and adapting to these new programs of studies that we're offering and courses. They use it for professional development. It's anything to innovate and improve what they're doing in the classroom. And we also have state funds that is matching for those federal funds, and teachers use also the state funds for the improvement of their CTE programs, buying things like supplies, and participating in various professional development opportunities, things like also running CTSOs, career and technical student organizations, and things like that. So there's funding available for CTE teachers, and there's also resources that we're providing as far as the resources for the standards.
Got it. Okay. And does the money that the school gets depend on how many students enroll in that pathway?
It depends on, it's on a formula. So if a student is a participant, so a participant is a student that just takes one CTE course, then they kind of get a point. If a student is a participant and is also disadvantaged, which means they qualify for free and reduced lunch, then they also get like a point. And then if a student, they also get a point if a student is a concentrator, which means that they complete 2 courses within a program of study. So if they complete 2 courses within a program of study, then they're counted also, and then that number is put into a formula, the total amount, and they get an allocation based on that particular number that they have. We did kind of redo that formula as we are now moving to our new pathways and programs of study. So the formula is changing, but there's a timeline for that particular change. But it's not a real drastic change, but we are trying to support our smaller schools now, because in the past, just because the larger schools had so many more students, they would get the bulk of the funds. So small schools had a hard time innovating and getting funds for new programs. So we're redoing the formula, so smaller schools have now a chance to get additional funds.
And the funds go to the school, and then the school decides how to distribute it?
Yeah, so the schools, they create 1-year plans. So every year they look at their past allocation, and the allocation will probably be around the same that they got last year. You don't see huge shifts, but they'll get that amount, and then they'll plan and look at, okay, so these are some of the important things that Perkins is saying that we should focus on. Things like college and career counseling, CTE program improvement, work-based learning opportunities, industry recognized credentials, all these things that are important to our students. And then using those important things that comes from the Perkins grant, how can we utilize now those funds to improve some of those things at our school? And then they would create the plan. It gets signed by the principal and the complex area superintendent, and then once that's approved, they can use their funds.
Right. And can a school do more than one track? Could they do all 5 health tracks if they wanted?
Technically they could, but I don't know if they would want to do that. For the one thing, it's the hardest part for offering the programs of study is finding the teachers to teach it, right? Even if it's a really large school, let's say like Campbell High School is the largest school that we have in our state, they're not going to be able to offer all 5, because for one thing, they're probably not going to have enough teachers to teach it. And you have to have a number of students in each class, right, to run a class. So you can't have just 5 students in one and 10 in another, and then so you got to have schools have different enrollment requirements for different programs of study, but you have to also look at that. Now, schools also look at their industry partners to see who might be able to support them, whether it be coming in to help maybe teach the students something along with the teacher, field trips, sometimes even funding or whatever it may be. But how is the industry partnership with the school also established, and which path or program of study does that maybe fall into? Also, you want to look at the number of students that are interested in that pathway. And then also, we tell schools to kind of look around their neighboring schools also to see what they're offering, because you don't want to have like every single school offering the same thing. And then you're going to have all these graduates coming out, and you're going to saturate your own community. Culinary is a good example. Students love to take culinary, but every school doesn't need to have a culinary program, because there might not be the jobs, in their community to support, like 300 graduates every year in that particular program of study or pathway. So also take a look at what is being offered, in the other schools, and take that into consideration. And then other thing is facilities. Do you have the facilities to support the particular program of study for that, and the funding to even support that program of study, right? Because a lot of times you have to buy equipment or have facilities to support what is being taught in the classroom.
When does this start? When does a school have to say we're going to do the nursing track?
It's really up to them when they want to start. If they already had something in place, and then it might be a very easy transition. So if they already had health services before, it might be an easier transition. Where a school did not have any health services before at their school, it might be a little harder because you're starting new, right? To get students interested, you have to get a teacher to teach it, and then the good thing is that most communities have a hospital or something, a community health center or something, that they can partner with, and try to establish those partnerships. So all those things need to happen. But if a lot of those things already existed already, then it would be a little easier to transition over. But schools are given about 2 years to decide, if they already had, how then would they transition over to the new one. But if a school did not have a health services, then they can pick one up at any time.
And can they switch every year?
I would recommend that they don't, because the student will take one course in the program of study, and then you have a cohort of students. If they switch, then there's nothing for them to then continue on into, right? Because it's a 4-course sequence that they're expected to do. And if they finish that 4-course sequence, we feel that they're really going to be prepared for post-secondary or straight into the workforce, because they'll have the technical, academic, and employability skills. Might have some work-based learning experience from an internship that they've done. They might have an industry recognized credential that they might have attained by doing those classes and sitting for a test or things like that, or having a post-secondary credit attainment, right?
Got it.
So that's why if a school decides they should stick to that and not change.
Right. And when does this start? So are there any schools doing it this year, or does it start next year?
It started already. So this health services pathway rolled out last school year. So this is the first year that schools can offer it. After this year, the old health services pathway sunsets, and schools will need to offer the new one. So they had actually 2 years to transition.
Okay, and you said that you're going to be working with the CTSOs. Is that like HOSA?
Yes.
Professionals?
Yes.
That's good, because, go ahead, what were you going to say?
No. So the CTSOs, at one point they were kind of considered like a club or things like that, but we're really trying to make sure that it's integrated into the courses. So the events that the competitive events that the students do at HOSA is also reflected in what they're learning in the classroom. So it's really co-curricular type of arrangement, rather than just doing it as a club or whatever it may be. So what is being taught and what is being learned in the classroom is then reflected on the competitive events that is put on at HOSA.
I like that, because I've noticed that there's the district performance-based assessments, and then there's the HOSA conference separate, and it seems like we're kind of doubling up on events for students. So are there going to be more coordination between the two possibly?
So right now there's only one district performance-based assessment that's done on the Windward side. They do a district-wide performance-based assessment. All the other schools or all the other districts, it's all done at the school level, where the teacher will then do a performance-based assessment with their students and bring in the industry professionals to then judge or evaluate the students based upon whatever criteria that they put together for their performance-based assessment. But HOSA is nationwide, so I know there's district sometimes qualifying events. Then if they place in their district qualifiers, then they come to state, and if they place in state, then they have the opportunity to go nationally, right?
They call it international now.
Yeah.
Great. Well, this is really helpful in alerting me to what's changing and what's going on. Is there a phone number or email or anything that if people have more questions, they should call?
Yeah, the best is to probably just email me. It's troy.sueoka@k12.hi.us. That's probably the best way. We also have Patricia Berdo. She is the curator of the health services pathway, and she can also answer your questions. Her email is patriciaberdo@k12.hi.us, and you probably can include that in your link or wherever this video is going to be posted.
Perfect. Okay. Well, is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think, we appreciate, all the partnerships, that we have, with JABSOM, with, and always the support that we get, from post-secondary and industry. We've brought in professors and things like that to help give professional development. And I think our teachers really appreciate that, and they can see what is being taught also on the college level, and hopefully we be being prepared to teach their students some of the same concepts, so they're ready to enter into post-secondary when it's that time.
Well, that's great. We love partnering with you guys because we need all the students that we can to go into health professions. And we do hope to have a conference for all teachers doing the health tracks, and to have sessions about, I know they asked how to interview or how to develop interview skills, how to do problem-based learning, things like that. So we do hope to put something like that together. And our resources are all at ahec.hawaii.edu for Area Health Education Center. So thank you for your time. We'll put this up on the website, and folks who are curious about the new pathways, hopefully it'll be helpful. I know it helped me, so hopefully it'll help them.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And spreading the word for us.
And have a great evening.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.